Now, a lot of people thought in my last video that I was like mad that a character I like lost. I wasn't. I just love defending Knuckles for any reason. So let's find more reasons to defend him and glaze him. There he is, right off the bat. That's my man.
This den of madness.
Are you Detective Pikachu?
Why? Why talk about that?
It does look like a Pokemon.
Why? Why does he know about Pokemon? What is this pose? Why is he doing the cat girl pose? That's my goat. That's so weird, seeing a Sega property so nonchalantly just talk about Pokemon and Nintendo like that. That's interesting. Obviously, it's because it's a movie and they're probably more relaxed about that kind of stuff. Like, you'd never see that in a game. Even if a game was based around the movie universe, no, never. I've also just gotta say, like, it's insane how terrifying these Chow mascot models are, and I'm pretty sure it's intentional. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to look off-model and ridiculous and kind of bad, but I will say the theming of this place is gorgeous, dude. All the decoration is based around the garden itself. You see the podiums, you see the palm trees, you see the pool that the Chow commonly walk into and start drowning in. And they've got different variations of the Chow too, instead of, you know, just the baby Chow, which we saw like a million times before. Oh, that kid has like stock art SA2 Dark Chow on their shirt. Oh yeah, all of this is stock art on their shirts. Got a cheese pin. Oh, that's so weird if Cream ever actually becomes a character in this universe. They gotta lock in on the Sonic Speed Cafe, and they gotta make this food and this decoration real.
It's time.
Oh, it's so cool seeing all the gun soldiers as just real humans with guns in the rain surrounding all of them. Oh yeah, so I have this theory that Gerald is gonna completely contrast the person that he was in Sonic X Shadow Generations. Obviously different characters, different canon, different history, but in Sonic X Shadow, it seems like they really wanted to portray the good side of Gerald before he went insane, before Maria was killed. And I have this theory here that Gerald in the movie, obviously teaming up with Eggman, he's gonna be the ultimate bad guy. In the end, Jim Carrey Robotnik is probably gonna have to go up against his own grandfather, maybe. I'm just thinking like this dude probably holds an insane, vengeful grudge, just like he did in the games, and he's obviously using these people as a means to get to his end. Like, Shadow's probably gonna go super with Sonic and team up and have his whole same arc that he has at the end of SA2, and I don't really think they're gonna do Bio Lizard or any kaiju, but I think Gerald is gonna be the ultimate bad guy, and they're gonna show basically the worst of him in a universe where he wasn't killed. That's interesting. Is that Gerald tech and not Eggman tech? Knuckles bites the wire, and his neck and teeth are so strong that he holds all three of them in place. Doesn't grab it with his hands, he bites that! He chomps that! Wow, that is some really good attention to his character. Because out of all of them, it would be him. That's so cute looking, too. Okay, I was about to say, that would have been the sickest trick shot ever. Knuckles is taller than them, and he's strong enough to hold both of them with those heavy chains. That is so cool. They're so respectful of all the other characters. I hope Tails gets some more moments as well, though, because he's kind of been put on the sidelines ever since the second movie, which is his debut. As I say that, he's got some tech. I guess he's got those wings to keep up with Sonic speed. Oh, I really hate his old tattered coat. It's gross. That's interesting. Gerald is just so okay with using Shadow as a tool. And he's obviously very uncomfortable in the scene. This is probably from Maria's death scene, if I had to guess. But the way that they're framing this, it almost makes me feel like Shadow obviously isn't going to be enjoyed being played with like a tool. Like we saw in Sonic X Shadow, Shadow actually kind of recoiled when he reunited with Gerald. He wasn't excited to see him because, again, that's the guy that implanted false memories in his head to use him as a tool to destroy the world. Again, like, I feel like we're gonna see the absolute worst of Gerald in this movie because this is post-tragedy. He got to live in this timeline. And, like, the way that he's powering this machine makes me exactly think of the plotline from the other two movies where, you know, Eggman wants Sonic's speed and his quill to power his machines, same with Knuckles' quill, etc., etc., and now you have a Hedgehog that's willingly working with the Robotniks, and we get to see what this power would actually be used for. And another thing is, we got the game-accurate Eggman coats on Jim Botnick. I don't mind his design in Sonic 2, and I thought his design in Sonic 1 was, it was okay. I actually prefer Sonic 1 Jim Botnick when he just had a black coat compared to his, like, red pilot jacket. But, like, you could tell that his designs in the other two movies are trying so hard to be his modern game design without being the game design, because that would be silly. But obviously we're over that stigma now, and they're just fully embracing it. He's got the golden buttons on his chest, and I've seen closer-up shots of him in promotional material, like this poster here. It looks like they're clickable buttons, like you've seen in some of the cutscenes, like in Frontiers. He clicks it, and then he can start talking to his voice logs, and then Lost World, he can click it to activate his jetpack. So that's a really sick detail. One of my favorite Jim Botnick things, actually, in the other movies is his little pad on the palm of his hand. I really hope that somehow makes a return, because that was such a fun part. They've even got, like, the metallic circle buttons on the droopy part of the coat. They got all the zippers even on the side of the arm and everything. I just need to see his big, goofy boots with the zippers on them, too. The only thing I think that actually looks off about this outfit is that he doesn't have Eggman's glasses. He's even got the headgear that just sits there without a proper strap. But obviously, you know, you spend the big bucks for Jim Carrey, you might as well see as much of his face as you can. But maybe in the final act we'll see him with his glasses and everybody will squeal. Another thing that kind of furthers my theory about Gerald is that he gets an Eggmanified coat as well. I've always been very curious to see, like, what Gerald would think of his great-grandson, Eggman. He's a brilliant scientist just like him in both robotics and archaeology, but, you know, he took this darker path. And I think, you know, the answer is, like, Gerald before the accident, he'd probably hate it, right? But this Gerald, you know, he's just rolling with the punches, but I don't think that this Gerald has all the loyalty in the world to Jim Botnick that, like, Jim Botnick has for Gerald that we've seen in the other trailer. But it is really sick to see a depiction of Gerald wearing the classic game outfit. And I guess this is obviously some form of the arc. I don't know if it is the arc, but it's gotta be, right? Maybe they capture it from space or something. I'm not sure how they're gonna do the whole gun backstory. But, like, wow, you can see the outline of the Earth. We're in space. They're gonna have a dual super finale somehow. I'm guessing it's gonna be the same thing where they stop the arc from crashing. Without the Biolizard, probably. If they do Biolizard, I'll be impressed, honestly. I just don't expect to see a game-accurate ending with this big CG lizard. I just don't. If anything, though, I do think it's possible we could see a Super Sonic versus Super Shadow fight in a cinema on the big screen with millions of dollars invested in the animation. By the way, that is something that we have never canonically seen in the games. The only time we've ever seen a super on super fight between, you know, two organic beings, Super Sonic and Super Shadow in Sonic X, which, you know, isn't canon, and that fight was exactly 60 seconds long and didn't really have satisfying choreography for my taste. So, could you imagine the potential of Hollywood millions of dollars poured into this animation, the storyboarders that we've seen in the other trailer, doing a super fight? Oh, maybe I'm getting my hopes up, but come on. They showed Super Sonic in the second movie. They're obviously doing Super Shadow. There's no way. Wow, that's really weird seeing the game-accurate coat from behind. It doesn't look real.
That is dark.
Ah! I don't know why I didn't expect to see that. I didn't ham up that reaction because I'm recording a video. I was legitimately like, holy shit, I just saw a live-action Eclipse cannon destroy our moon. He pissed on it. That was not funny. Wow, this looks exactly like the Shadow Maria flashback that you saw in Dark Beginnings, even though it wasn't a flashback. They were never on Earth. I wonder how closely intertwined those two scenes were. Perhaps it's just a coincidence, but a crazy one. Both of them on Earth, sitting next to each other in a field of flowers. I'm not sure if that's lavender specifically, but very, very similar to Dark Beginnings. That seems intentional. The intentionality of the shots they're choose is such a step up from the other films. The other films, the first film feels like dumb fun. It's for kids, it's action, whatever. Turn your brain off. Sonic 2 had a little bit more substance and a lot of game lore interjected into it, but still at the end of the day, a lot of dumb fun. There was some emotional stuff, I guess. It was kind of surface level, kind of just there to have a plot. But this, you know, like that parallel shot between the two of them, the shattering of the glass, a classic trope. It's really nice to see serious story elements being brought into Sonic again, and on a much wider scale than something as small as comic books or alienated as the games are nowadays. You know, not a lot of people want to play the Sonic games nowadays. I already know that tens of millions of people are going to see this and they're going to go, wow, I didn't know Sonic had it like that. The Knuckles hug. Hey, yo! I know it's like a laser gun, it's not a real gun, but I didn't expect them to just have Shadow hold a gun. The last time I think they actually acknowledged Shadow using guns was Lego Dimensions, where Knuckles slaps a gun out of his hand. Wow, this goes unbelievably hard, and you best motherfucking bet this is gonna be thousands of people's profile pictures for years to come. I do know from social media there's another scene that mirrors the Shadow 05 scene where Sonic collapses.
The more you talk,
the harder I want to hit you. I saw that one as well.
this ends now.
Oh, whoa! Okay, that's raw. That is like actually hyper accurate. Wow, that looks like a CG scene I would see in a game.
Awaits. You were right about one thing. This ends now.
Oh, dude, you could see he's like struggling behind Shadow, blocking his punch.
Now.
Oh, that's crazy. I have to wonder why there's so much molten lava everywhere. Maybe it's from the Eclipse Cannon. In what context is that scene gonna be used? I think their willingness to go into space and make this hyper-accurate looking arc with the Eclipse Cannon, that the focus on the Eclipse Cannon and the arc in this trailer, I think is really reassuring about what our finale is gonna look like. I do wonder, like, how are they gonna tie in the Long Claw stuff, you know? Because I feel like we want answers on that at the very least. I know a lot of people aren't that invested in the Long Claw plot. I feel like we gotta wrap it up, and people have been making parallels, like, oh, Sonic lost his mom, Shadow lost his sister. Maybe we see that come into play, and we actually get to finally wrap it up with some closure and some kind of mutual bond that Shadow and Sonic can have. Obviously, Shadow will never be his friend, like Knuckles. But I do see a reality here where Shadow realizes Gerald's using him. Gerald looks genuinely menacing, devilish, a lot scarier than Eggman for sure, and I would even argue Shadow, because I know that Shadow is inherently a good person. He's got the memories of Maria in his brain already. He doesn't need someone to remind him. You know, it looks like he's pondering and struggling with stuff the whole film here. But Gerald, we don't know a lot about him. We just see him looking badass in scenes, being a little goofy, but mainly kind of just stoic. I feel like he's a rock wall that won't budge. I don't think there's any getting through to Gerald here. Which, again, I think that would be so sick. Imagine, again, you're getting into the series for the first time. Your exposure is the movie Sonic 3. And then you're like, damn, bro, I gotta check out the games. You go to Sonic X Shadow Generations, and you see a completely other side of Gerald, and you're thinking to yourself, damn, this kind of multifaceted. It'd be really sick if they could keep this up for future projects as well, and isn't just this one-off thing, because they know Shadow's their most popular character. I really hope that they do something with the Chow. I really hope that, as an Easter egg, as a post-credit scene or something, we see a real Chow and not just a mascot.